Alright, so next up we're going to be going to the second and final Ride Chaser stage in this series. Not bad. Definitely more entertaining, if anything else, than Mana Wars, which I guess isn't saying a lot, but I'd also say Mana Wars is better than Central Circuit from 7, so whatever. So minimal purchasing this time. We're now at all 9s for medals, which that's a given.
Sigma.
And
I've
more
suspected
fluff.
as much ever since
We're
Files
going to be getting
showed
into
up.
the stage real quick in this one.
Whoever's behind it, they were most certainly after Lumine and the orbital elevator.
Lumine.
There are some dark forces at work behind the scenes here. I'll continue my analysis.
I hope you uncover something. By the way, I noticed a Reploid copying Sigma's body back at the orbital elevator.
As a reminder, it was more
Could
like
that be
a
connected
dozen
in some
at
way
least.
to them going Maverick?
I doubt it.
A
Theoretically,
Reploid.
there's no danger in copying others' bodies. X, you fought Sigma bodies before, so you know how tough their design is.
I suppose all I can do now is continue taking care of the Mavericks and collecting data.
So that's kind of an interesting point. They basically outright say nothing should be wrong based on this. Like, you're copying Sigma's form, you're not copying his AI or, you know, any problems that he would have, just his physical body, and that's why they changed to him, because he could survive that kind of a fall. He's done it
Avalanche
before.
Yeti.
And we've got Permafrost Caretaker Avalanche Yeti. He sounds so gentle.
Yeah, you gotta take care of that permafrost.
Which is ridiculous because he's very aggressive.
There's
but
an emergency
whatever.
at the Environmental Research Center. Who knows what could happen? Go as fast as you can, but watch out for crevasses.
Sort of natural, whatever. It's hard to justify a Ride Chaser level. That's why Overdrive Ostriches will always be my favorite one, because it's optional, it unlocks some extra stuff, it's not really a level like all the other ones after that are outright stages. But yeah, so this one is basically a shoot 'em up. And this one's a lot different for a number of reasons from Mana Wars, but I think the most interesting is that each one of your characters actually has a different projectile list that all function differently. And they all basically match their weapons. Right. So if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I've used them on the stage. Axel's is just straight up rapid fire, so you don't have to button mash, which is pretty nice. And you don't lose any like rate of fire or anything. Like, it's at top no matter what. X's is his X-Buster. You can do charge shots, which is pretty cool. I'll be using that coming up on a mini-boss. And Zero's are wide, sort of like saber crescent slashes. Yeah. And those go, I think, the shortest range overall, but they hit much wider, obviously, which is pretty nice for taking out some of these lines that I'm doing excessively bad on taking care of.
Do they do more damage at all?
It's really kind of hard to say in this stage. The only thing that you can really gauge it on is the mini-boss, and I almost always use X for that anyway, because I like match with him the best, and I'm trying to only use X anyway. But yeah, so we're going to continue the nautical dropship theme. This one's kind of like a cool stingray, which is neat. This design sort of almost comes back in the intro sequence to Command Mission, and I love the dropship in that opening cutscene, so it's kind of cool to see some consistency going on. You'll also see a lot of that in ZX games, not necessarily Zero. There's less vehicles that ever present in that, but also kind of seems like one of the Guardians transformations, so
yeah,
it's all thematically there.
The bullet drop is really messing with me.
You can use it to your advantage, though. You can see it's kind of like exploding on impact. Yeah. That is splash damage. So if you're lining it up, you can actually use that to kind of set off chain reactions and not have to aim quite as much, which I think makes for at least a more tolerable mechanic. Like, your accuracy doesn't have to be super good, and you don't really have to go in bullet drop. And 90% of the things that you're going to be hitting outside of that mini-boss when it's far away, you're going to be hitting regardless of the bullet drop anyway, because they're all coming at you so quickly that it really doesn't matter that much. And I don't think I successfully do it a whole bunch of this, but you can also break. I keep maxing the big dash. I've done this stage a couple times at this point. I'm just ready to get it over with. But when the enemy Ride Chasers come up behind you, you're capable of breaking, and they will careen past you at full speed. Yeah, like that. Except they can run into other ones, and that will actually help towards your combo score as well, which is pretty decently satisfying. Yeah.
Still, I'm still hung up on the whole let's put Robo Satan into all our new Reploid things. Like, that is
So,
Like, I get it, he's strong, but goddamn.
it's something that you shouldn't be doing at the very least because of, like, let's not be in poor
Like-
taste.
Like, someone, somewhere should have been like, hey, wait a minute.
Even though he's not going to make these bodies go Maverick, probably don't make everybody look like Hitler. Like,
Yeah.
it's, again, just kind of like an in poor taste thing, which is... You're right, it is a questionable decision, but that's the thing, though, and it'll come up more. Like, I desperately want to talk about it now because it's when it's topical.
To survive the brutal recession, we had to take on sturdy Hitler bodies.
It's all basically just, like, hubris and, like, cold functionality. It's like, well, these bodies can do this, so regardless of what we already know is a problem, we're going to do this anyway. And everyone's like, no, probably don't. They're like, yeah, you're right, but we're gonna do it anyway. It's like, alright, humanity. Also, because we're vaguely running short on subject matter here, and I like pointing this shit out, the ride chasers that we have seen so far are the Sirius, S-I-R-I-U-S.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. Right? Well, that's a service. Anyway, that was the Man of War one. This is the Barius, B-A-R-I-U-S. And, there's a name for the... Yeah, the Kelpies, K-E-L-P-I-E, is the enemy version of the Ride Chasers. Sort of like the Hornet versus the Aeon in X4.
This Kelpie sounds familiar to me. I'm reminded of the deers from Monster Hunter.
Oh, Kelpie. That is literally
My god.
so, Kelpie or Kelpie. That means you can turn it into a sweet bow. But yeah, so extremely similar to some of the other Ride Chaser endings, namely Squid Adlers and vaguely Jet Stingrays, but you don't expressly open anything in Jet Stingrays. You just fly off into the back. So we're going to use the sun to melt those ice blocks, not the fire weapon, because you already used that in a different stage, to get our next X capsule.
I thought something like
And
this.
do you
might
want to start
happen
talking
someday.
about
So
the
I've
next
prepared
thing
parts for you.
now?
This time, I want you to try
Well, I'll
and
let him
parts
explain the
each.
other part first. But
This
yes.
part will increase your weapon's charge speed when equipped.
So this one's real nice, and it combos well with any of your combat strategies. You can actually use this to make the regular neutral armor buster really good because it's just the X buster and you get up to the third charge stage like just right away.
Nice.
With the Icarus buster, it's good and dangerous because the second of the 3 charge stages is the full buster shot, and then the full charge is the annoying laser, so it's a balancing act super quick. So, normally, you would go over here with Axel's hover. What you can do, though, as Zero, using, whatever the fuck the name of his electric dash is, Raijin Show, I think, you can use it while you're in a regular jump to go
You
across,
found a rare metal.
and then use your dash. You can't do it at the very end of the jump, you can do it mid-jump. Or, you can just be a dick and exploit this glitch using everybody's favorite spin move, wherein you hold up and down at the same time while activating it, and you just fly. And that is just sustainable flight. If there's a stage that doesn't have a roof or anything, you will go. You will go infinitely. It's real fun on Bamboo Pandemonium stage. We might have footage for it. I don't know if we're going to put it anywhere, but trust me, it's hilarious. And it actually kind of shows off how good their spline movement is because it tries to correct you while you're doing it.
Yeah, but,
And it never breaks either. You can't fall out of the fire.
it's basically
From what I
you
know.
hit one direction on the thumbstick and then the opposite direction on the
Can you hear
D-pad.
me?
Kinda. Like, it's not a hard opposite as long as it's kind of like opposite hemispheres, basically.
Right.
So, like, you can hold up on the D-pad and, like, diagonal left down. And then your thumbstick is what'll determine the movement. So if you're holding diagonally down, you'll move opposite of that. So you should move diagonal right up, I think. It's one of those things that you kind of do from muscle memory, but it's pretty fun, and you can use it to exploit some things. Not a lot, but it totally is.
You must
entertaining.
not stand in the way of our
I know,
my
we can't.
master's ideal.
Also,
Avalanche Yeti. What is Sigma trying
Yeti
to
looks
do?
so much like
My
Cold
master
Man.
no longer considers
Like a
your
classic
world
robot master, not
Yeah,
a
like-
Maverick. Like, I don't mind his design at all.
Yeah, no, like that's what I was gonna say. He reminds me of either a classic
You and your
series
puny
robot
maverick hunters
or
have
just
lost.
like really early mech anime.
Yeah, well, he's definitely vaguely a reference to Gigantor's head. There's no way he isn't. Like, he's got the same, like, iron underbite and everything. So, he's weak to Thunder Dancer, and as you can see, if your timing is good, because he's surprisingly fast for a bulky ice boss. Like, you think back to Frost Walrus and shit. He's pretty speedy, and you can do some pretty decently scary stuff, like that freezing chain. Thunder Dancer will go between his projectiles, so it's not only a functional stun lock for him, but it'll also clear out his like area span projectiles, which lends itself really well to the fight. It also works when he goes under the ice. You can kind of use it to trace him down there where normal shots wouldn't damage him. I think there is a point where he's doing that attack where he can't be touched, but it's still easy enough.
What was that attack supposed to do?
Which attack? His overdrive? So what that will do if you're not ruining him with the double attack is it will start raining down big drifting snowflakes that do a lot of contact damage and are basically just there for the rest of the fight. You can destroy them. But
it looked like he went straight through and did nothing.
No, yeah, the actual cold vent, as far as I'm aware, doesn't do any damage. One good thing to note for that, though, is when he turns around to use his ventilation like that, when he turns back around to face you, his hitbox is a little bit longer than it might look, so you don't want to get too close to him to try using the double attack right away, because it'll knock you back, and then he'll start flying around the room, and it makes it harder to hit him. So stand a little farther back than you expect, and that's the sweet spot to hit him with it. Once you're done, you will hit him with it. Like, do what I did in the video, and you'll be fine. But, yeah. So, 100%. Never need to go back there again, either.
Woo!
All thanks to exploits.
Backyard. Nice work.
Gundam fight. Stand by. Ready. Go!